What is going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to another episode of Nasdaq 100 weekly highs, weekly lows, technical analysis. I hope you guys have had a really good week with your trades this week. So I hope everything went according to plan, and I hope you was able to capitalize on some of the moves. Okay. If this is the first time you find in this channel and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. Every one of these gestures that you do help the channel grow, and obviously helps this channel reach more people. And I definitely appreciate you for taking those moves or making those moves, right? So with all of that said and done, we're going to get straight into the business as to what market has been doing and what we plan to do moving forward for week commencing Monday the 23rd of September. So with that said and done, I'm going to move my vertical line over to the end of week just gone, right? I'm just going to move that over here. I'm going to lock that in place, and we're going to briefly recap on some of the stuff I talked about last week's video, right? And how we can navigate it. So on last week's video, that's when we had all of this stuff here. These were the pending order buy zones, right? For if price pulled back based on this structure that we're seeing right here. So based on this structure, my assessment on the Sunday's analysis was that price was going to pull down to come to one of these fair value gaps, at which point the idea was we had buy points at each of these locations to get price at a discount. Okay, and what we can see that did take place was that price didn't pull back anywhere near to any of these zones, right? It just pulled back, I think, to its lowest point was 19288.1 near roundabout. So that was the lowest price ever came down to last week. So if you had your pending orders at this location, and like I always say, don't blindly follow anybody, right? Make sure you do your homework, make sure everything makes sense, right? None of these would have been triggered, which is fine, but this fair value, in my opinion, is still relatively valid. So I'm just going to keep that there because I have an idea, I have a feeling that at some point price is going to come back into it. Actually, as a matter of fact, that wouldn't be fair. That wouldn't be fair. Let me get rid of all of these, right? We'll just keep it going. But however, I would say just keep a mental note of those zones just in case price comes back into them again, right? Now, to new people coming on board, you'd have been like, hey, you know what, your prediction was wrong, etc, etc, etc. Look, I don't profess to say that I know everything about what the market's going to do and how the market's going to do it. What I basically do is I prepare for any types of event that market could throw my way, and I make sure that I'm in a position to capitalize on it. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, in last week's video, you may have been focusing on these levels that I had at the bottom down here, right? But I also talked about this zone right here, okay? So let me put a little level on this. Let's put a little zone in here, right? So this was a weekly high that I said if we got taken out, we had to be on the lookout for a push to the upside. A push to the upside if it was taken out, right? So what happened on Thursday was that's exactly what took place. No, it was Wednesday was the first breach. So Wednesday was when we had price tap into this zone and then come all the way back down again, right? And then on the Thursday was when it actually took it out. Okay, so if we had noticed that, right, because bearing in mind the first weekly high of the Friday was taken out, so that we got that move on the Tuesday. Right, so Tuesday that got taken out. Okay, then what we do from that point is we look over to the left to see if there's an opportunity for a buy in terms of we're looking for, let's say for example a fair value gap, right? All the ones that we could find on this side were a lot lower, so there wasn't really any up here unless you went into a lower time frame, say the 15-minute, and I think we would have found one in the 15-minute. As a matter of fact, let's take a look. I don't really like using 15-minute fair value gaps, but let's just see if we could find one in that location that could have helped us. Personally, and I'll just say this now, I would not have used a 15-minute fair value gap to make moves, right? I would not have done that. But however, let's just see if there was a fair value on the 15-minute to help us. And there was right here. So there we have it, the 15-minute fair value, right? So there we have it right here. Okay, so I had four fair values in this area all the way down here, and I had the one, I think the first one was around this level somewhere. Okay, so we should have had the first one up here. But if you're grabbing fair values of the 15-minute, like, trust me, your chart is going to be so busy. But however, you could have found it. So just take this as a note to self, that when you can't find the fair value on the time frame that you're on, or on the time frame that you're on, go down a little bit lower and see if you can find one there to support what it is that you're hoping to gain should it appear in the market, right? So hopefully some of you guys are not blindly just following and just obviously double checking and looking for things that I may not have covered in my initial analysis. You would have found this 15-minute fair value, and you would have tapped in, and that would have ridden you to the upside, right? I hope you were able to do that. If not, it doesn't matter. We're all here to learn. We all don't know everything, right? We're here to learn, and that's one of the things that we like doing on this channel, is making sure that we learn from past mistakes to make sure that we don't repeat it, and the things that are working, we stick to the good habits, right? So this was a level that I talked about. So this level right here is 19627.9, a zone, right? So that zone was taken out on a Thursday. Had you noticed that, you could have tapped in and then ridden it to the upside, because a weekly high was taken out. But before the first weekly high was taken out, before the second weekly high was taken out, which is this one over here, the first one was taken out. So the first one that we got on the Friday, the 13th, that one was taken out on the Tuesday, right? So that's this one right here. I'll show that to you. So that's this one right here. So it got taken out, but we did not get a close outside of it. So we closed in, which was a possible indicator to say that it was going to be pushing up, came all the way down, then flew up past it, but didn't close above, came down again, and then on the Thursday, it started to push up, and we had that clean break off that weekly high on the Friday morning, around 3 in the morning GMT. So we got that clean break above it. Sorry, got my words all tied up there. So we had that clean break above it, and then during that day we then had a second break above that as well. So had you been able to notice that, you could have ridden it all the way up, right? And then obviously cashed in on that. Now from what I can tell, from what I can see, right, it looks like price has indeed broken out of this channel, right? Broken out of this channel, because this high that we have, which is a new high in comparison to this structure in this area over here, okay, is pointing to the fact that price is going to be pushing up. So this zone of where I said if I was doing a NAS, this is the area that I would have put my TP, which is, let me just actually just stick a label on here. So this is the zone we're looking at right here. So just above or just below, depending on how you feel, this is the zone that we're talking about, which is 20745.7, right? So I believe that price, there is a high probability that price is going to continue on its journey up to this zone, right? It might get there next week, or it might just get halfway, pull back, and then do some random stuff. We'll only find that out next week once we're in the swing of everything that's happening there. So if you look at all of this situation over here, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense to me in terms of what price is doing. Let me see if there's a way I could. I'm just going to rejig this trend for a minute, right? Let's just rejig this for a minute. I'm just going to rejig this for a minute, right? And let's just see if this makes sense. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense at all. We're just going to keep it to how it was. It doesn't. We need this one to be a little bit higher for everything to support, and this one is not as low as it should be. So we're going to keep with this particular structure for now, right? So with that all said and done, let's look at where everything is now. Right, let's look at where everything is now and what is the probabilities of what market could possibly do next week. So like always, so you've got to bring out the weekly high that was set for us on Thursday. And then we're going to look at the weekly low that was set for us on Monday. and these are the labels we need to keep an eye on, or these are the levels we need to keep an eye on. So weekly high, we're looking at 19985.3, and weekly low, we're looking at 19290.2, right? So if any of these levels are taken out, we need to look at the possibility of preparing ourselves to take trades in a corresponding direction, right? And with that said, it's important I say this: I am not a financial advisor, and I'm not giving you financial advice. This is purely for educational and entertainment purposes only, okay? And it is upon you to do your research to make sure that everything you're watching here makes sense to you before you go and commit your hard-earned money to it, right? So these are the things that I'll be looking for. These are the things that I'll be looking for Monday, for week commencing Monday the 23rd of September. If any of these levels are taken out, I will be considering preparing myself to take moves in a corresponding direction. But as it looks now, it looks like price wants to get to this zone more than it wants to get to this zone. Actually, let's get rid of this one as well. More than it wants to get to this zone over here, right? But however, if this is taken out, you're going to need to bear that in mind, okay? So let me see if there's anything else I could bring to your attention. So next week commencing the 23rd, these are the things that we want to be mindful about, okay? Now the time on this events calendar is set to GMT because I am in London, so you're going to have to rejig it to make sure that it corresponds with your time wherever you are in the world. But these are the things that we're looking for. We don't have any news on Monday, so essentially you could just follow, we don't have any news on a Wednesday, so essentially on that day you can basically follow the trend, right? And these are all of the news that we have coming in from Monday the 23rd. So in my opinion, we're either going to be getting a new high or a new low set between these 2 days here. Between the Tuesday and the Wednesday, we're going to be either be getting a new high or a new low, and then after that, it should be relatively easy to kind of figure out what direction you want to be facing. This is obviously a potential nuke that could be coming our way, which is obviously the Fed Chair Powell is going to be giving us a speech. So this could really like throw things off because we don't really know what direction anything is going to go. As you can see, there is no data that we can use to support where market could go, right? So on the Thursday, we kind of want to be careful, especially if between the Tuesday and the Wednesday it looks like we have a high or a low. Then from that point, we know that whatever comes from this level, from this gentleman over here, which is obviously the federal chair, whatever he turns around and says, it could send price in the other direction in terms of create a new high or create a new low. Because a new high or a new low on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, I don't know which one that's going to be, right? That's my honest opinion to you guys. I don't really know what one that's going to be. So we could be either or. So what we just have to do is we just have to be super prepared in terms of how we're assessing everything and making sure that if you want to be the early bird in catching a weekly high or a weekly low reversal, then we want to be mindful of what is happening next week so that we have a pretty good idea when one of them gets set. And when one of them gets set, then we know that, okay, cool, at least we got it, and then we can ride it in the direction that we need to. All right? Okay, so the next thing that I want to bring to your attention, let's just have a quick look. The next thing that I want to bring to your attention is, if you want to follow up on what we discussed last week, right, there should be a thumb here for you to look at. So it should be here right about now. And if you want to look at how I used to basically backtest trades, because all of it is super useful, right? So how to backtest Nasdaq100, you should see a video on this side as well, okay? Click them, give them a watch, tons of information in there, and hopefully that will help you on your journey. So with all of that covered, this is Pips and Points signing out.